Hello, web developers. This is PJ, and this is PJ Web Dev Podcast. So, this is a written version of my article on Medium at pjwebdev.medium.com, and it is about 6 myths about senior web developers. They are not as bad as they appear, where I'm going to be talking about some misconceptions about senior web developers. So when reading Twitter or watching YouTube videos as a web developer is just getting started, you can get impression that senior web developers are like superheroes. They often talk about perfect code or the rules of web development that junior web developers must follow and learn from. They are quick to point out issues with your code and ridicule all mistakes. The truth is that even after a few years of working as a web developer, there are still a lot of things that senior web developers don't know. And there are tons of mistakes they make themselves. They just don't want to admit it usually. When I was getting started about 20 years ago, I thought that I already know a lot more than most web developers around me. Today, my list of things that I would like to learn about web development is getting longer and longer. I don't know everything and I still make mistakes, so I thought I would make a list of myths about senior web developers that are around in the web development world. Senior web developers write code. So this is myth number 1. Senior web developers write code that always works. Yes, senior web developers also write code with bugs and logical mistakes, and their code does not always work from the start. In the web development world, each project is different. Very often you write code that you have never written before. Even after many years of experience, there are new problems to solve, and although previous experience is useful, it doesn't make you bulletproof and free from mistakes. It is not a production line of repeated tasks. You face new challenges every day. The uniqueness of each project makes mistakes difficult to avoid, even for senior coders. Myth number 2. Senior web developers write perfect and clean code all the time. In real life, clean code is a luxury. Short deadlines, changing scopes, last-minute changes, different writing styles between developers in the team make it difficult to write clean code. Even senior web developers struggle with it under pressure and in changing circumstances. It can be achieved, but it takes a lot of time and is expensive. So if you are getting started, don't be hard on yourself if your code is not squeaky clean. Nobody writes perfect code. There are always things that can be improved. Myth number 3. Senior web developers never make mistakes. We all know the stories about junior web developers that deployed untested code to production and took the entire website down. Well, I can tell you that senior web developers also make these kinds of mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes sometimes when they are in a rush or under pressure or just tired. The longer you work as a web developer, the chances are that you will make major mistakes like these less often, but they will still happen regardless of your experience. Myth number 4. Senior web developers know everything. I have been doing web development for about 20 years, and my list of things to learn is getting longer, not shorter. There is a lot to cover in the web development world, and things change all the time. Therefore, nobody knows everything, even senior web developers. They will usually have a couple of areas they know a lot about, usually things they do every day. And with the rest of it, they are familiar with them and on a medium or basic level. And can work with, but it's not that their area of expertise. They can learn new things faster because they know the fundamentals and the concepts very well, but they certainly don't know everything. Myth number 5. Senior web developers don't like junior web developers and make jokes about them. The fact that senior web developers make jokes about junior web developers is actually true. Personally, I don't like these jokes, but I don't think senior web developers want to be mean, and you should not be discouraged. Most senior web developers I know are very helpful and understanding when it comes to junior web developers, and are trying to help them and teach them better coding. So don't get discouraged if you come across a joke of that kind that fits your current level of skills. We have all been there, and we were all starting from zero knowledge and made tons of mistakes to get where we are. So treat jokes about junior web developers with a pinch of salt. Myth number 6. Senior web developers make a lot of money. There are a lot of rumors about the vast amount of money that senior web developers make. While this is true for a big percentage, there are also many developers, also senior, that don't make a lot of money. It all depends on where you work in terms of location, the kind of company you work for, and what kind of job you do. The fact you have been working as a web developer for a certain number of years doesn't make you automatically rich. There you have it. These are the myths about senior web developers. Whatever you thought about them before reading this article, I hope that they appear now not as bad as you thought. Most of them are very helpful, and if they come across a little bit cynical sometimes, well, you just have to forgive them. How do I know this is true? Believe me, I know a few senior web developers. So that was 6 myths about senior web developers, available on my Medium along with many other articles for web developers. You can find it at pjwebdev.medium.com. Thank you very much for watching, if you watch it on YouTube, and for listening, if you were listening as a podcast. And see you next time. Bye bye.